In a small, quiet town in the Midwest, there lived a man named Jack Carter. Jack wasn't a man of wealth, nor was he known for anything other than his tireless work ethic. His hands were rough from years of labor, his clothes often worn thin, and his face weathered by time. Jack was a construction worker, a man who spent his days lifting heavy beams, working in all kinds of weather, and earning just enough to provide for his family. His life was one of struggle, but there was one thing that kept him going: his son, Ethan. Ethan, Jack's son, was bright, full of hope, and full of dreams. Unlike Jack, who had never had the opportunity to attend college, Ethan had the chance to go beyond the confines of their small town life. Jack's dream was simple but powerful. He wanted Ethan to become a doctor. Jack didn't want his son to face the same hardships he had. He wanted him to have a future filled with opportunity, a future free from the constant stress of financial instability. But Jack's dream didn't come easily. Every day was a struggle to make ends meet. His job, though essential, didn't provide much more than enough to pay the bills. Yet despite this, Jack never gave up. His sacrifices were always made with Ethan's future in mind. Ethan, now in high school, worked hard every day, showing his father how much he valued his education. But even though Jack was proud of his son, he couldn't help but worry. The cost of textbooks, school supplies, and the growing expenses of raising Ethan weighed heavily on Jack's shoulders. He often found himself sacrificing his own comfort to make sure Ethan had what he needed. "Dad, I need new shoes for school," Ethan would say, his face filled with the innocence of a child who didn't fully understand the limits of their situation. But Jack would always try to make it work. No matter what, his son's needs came first. Jack would watch Ethan leave for school in the mornings, his backpack bouncing on his back, his face full of ambition and hope for a future far beyond the small town they lived in. Jack would then go to work, his body aching from the long hours, but always with a sense of purpose. He knew that every drop of sweat, every sore muscle was a step closer to giving Ethan a chance at a better life. But things were not easy for Ethan either. One day, after school, Ethan came home with a troubled look in his eyes. He dropped his bag by the door, and Jack noticed immediately. "Hey, buddy, what's wrong?" Jack asked, his voice laced with concern. "They're making fun of me at school, Dad," Ethan said, his voice cracking slightly. "They say I can't be a doctor because we're poor. I don't belong there." Jack's heart sank. He knew how cruel kids could be, especially when it came to differences in wealth. But Jack wouldn't let Ethan believe that his financial situation could define his future. "Ethan," Jack said, kneeling down so they were eye level, "never let anyone tell you that you can't achieve your dreams. You're not poor because of what you have, but because of what you choose to believe. Your worth is not determined by how much money you have, but by how hard you're willing to work and how big you dream." Ethan looked up at his father, a small spark of hope returning to his eyes. Jack knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but he also knew that Ethan had something special. He had determination, and with that, anything was possible. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Jack worked harder than ever, pushing himself to the limit to provide for Ethan's education. But as the costs of living continued to rise, Jack found himself unable to keep up. There were days when he barely had enough money to buy food for dinner, let alone pay for all of Ethan's school expenses. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day on the job, Jack sat on the porch of their small house, looking out over the vast fields that stretched beyond their town. The sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and purple, but Jack couldn't bring himself to enjoy it. His mind was filled with doubt, worry, and fear for the future. Would he ever be able to provide enough for Ethan? What if his son's dreams were shattered because of their financial situation? That night, Jack lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. The weight of his responsibilities felt heavier than ever, and for the first time in years, he wondered if all of his sacrifices had been in vain. But just as despair began to take hold, a letter arrived in the morning mail. Jack opened it with trembling hands. It was from a prestigious medical school in the city. Ethan had been accepted into their program, and even better, he had been awarded a full scholarship. Jack could hardly believe it. His breath caught in his chest. This was it. This was the opportunity they had worked for. Ethan had been given a chance, a real chance, to escape the poverty that had gripped their family for so long. The day Ethan left for the city, Jack's heart was torn. He was proud beyond words, but he also knew that this would be the last time he would see his son so close, for a while at least. Ethan packed his things, ready to leave their small town behind and take the first steps into a new world. "Dad, I'm gonna make you proud," Ethan said, his voice thick with emotion as he hugged Jack tightly. "I won't waste this chance." Jack hugged him back, holding his son close, unwilling to let go. "Remember, son, that no matter how far you go, always stay true to who you are. Never forget where you came from, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't achieve your dreams." Ethan smiled, wiping his eyes as he pulled away. "I won't forget, Dad. Thank you for everything." As Ethan climbed into the bus that would take him to the city, Jack stood there in the doorway, watching until the bus disappeared into the distance. Jack knew that no matter what happened next, he had given his son the best possible chance at success. Now it was up to Ethan to take that chance and make the most of it. Years passed, and Ethan's journey was filled with challenges. The city was a fast-paced, intimidating place, but Ethan was determined to succeed. He worked tirelessly to earn his degree in medicine, juggling long hours of study and part-time jobs to pay for his living expenses. There were moments of doubt, moments when Ethan wondered if he could keep going, but every time he faced an obstacle, he thought of his father, Jack, who had worked so hard to give him this opportunity. He thought of the sacrifices Jack had made, the sleepless nights, and the love that had never wavered. Ethan knew that if his father could endure so much, he could endure too. The day Ethan graduated from medical school, he stood at the podium, his diploma in hand. The crowd cheered, but Ethan's eyes were focused on one person, Jack. Sitting in the front row, Jack's face was filled with pride, his eyes brimming with tears. Ethan took the microphone and spoke to the audience. "I owe everything I am to one person, my father, Jack Carter. Without his sacrifices, his love, and his unwavering belief in me, I would not be here. Dad, you are my hero. This achievement is as much yours as it is mine." Jack wiped away tears as he stood and applauded his son, knowing that all the pain, all the struggles had led to this moment. Ethan had not only achieved his dream, but had also fulfilled the dreams of the man who had raised him. Jack and Ethan's story is a reminder that dreams are not defined by where you come from or how much money you have. Dreams are built on hard work, perseverance, and the belief that anything is possible if you are willing to fight for it. Ethan's success was not just his own, it was the result of his father's sacrifices and unwavering belief in him. Together, they proved that no matter the circumstances, dreams can become reality with enough love, hope, and determination. If Jack and Ethan's story inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. And remember, no matter where you come from, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. Subscribe to MGS Stories for more heartwarming and motivational stories.